I'm going to break down some myths on what a wedding coordinator's role is and give you the exact advice you need when hiring a wedding coordinator for your Italian wedding. Ciao, I'm Lucy, I'm an Italian wedding planner and I'm the founder of Lista.com. This is the website that gives you everything you need to plan your Italian wedding without any hassle. So firstly, I'm just going to run through why you may have a coordinator over having a wedding planner. Because in my opinion, and from seeing literally thousands of couples get married through Lista and my own weddings, a good planner is the foundation of a successful Italian wedding. And a lot of people think that they can't afford a wedding planner, but it shouldn't be seen as a luxury or as an extra within your budget. It should actually be like a foundational point. I really want you to think about it like an Italian wedding is different to a wedding at home, and a planner and the guest's experience should be much bigger items within your budget than you may find than doing a wedding at home. It's not a luxury to have a planner when you're planning an Italian wedding. But if that's not for you, couples often tend to look for some sort of wedding coordinator to help run the wedding day. And that's because couples think that they can't afford a planner, or perhaps they choose not to spend out on a full planner, or maybe you just want to do your wedding yourself. Any of those things, absolutely cool with us. Makes total sense. I've been at enough weddings to tell you that at every single wedding, there are things that happen. You need a leader and you need a good decision maker that is there and accountable and able to take this role for you. A lack of this will disrupt your wedding day and your experience of your wedding day. So firstly, let's bust some myths around coordination. A good coordinator will cost probably €2,000 to €3,000. I think a lot of people think this will cost like €500, €1,000, but you have to remember, firstly, lots of people live quite far distances apart in Italy, so a lot of people have to drive an hour or two just to kind of get to your wedding. They may also, if it's part of their role, have to go there a couple of times to do site inspections, meet your suppliers or meet you. So literally that time alone and the transport costs have to come into it. Then there's the time involved. So obviously, they may just do the wedding day. I'll talk more in a little bit about what I think their role should cover, but they are experts. This is a professional role and they will charge a decent amount per hour to deliver this job. This is not a job where someone who doesn't have experience can just turn up and oversee your wedding. They need a fundamental understanding of how a wedding runs in Italy, who your suppliers are, how the whole day is meant to go. And I argue that they should have a relationship with your suppliers as well. They should also have a relationship with you because they need to make decisions on your behalf on the wedding day. I don't think that this is a family member role either or a friend role. Honestly, it's just going to ruin their day. And they're not going to be able to make the decisions that you think that they are. They are still going to need to come and talk to you because they're not going to know your wedding inside out either. And obviously there's a language barrier, so it could be difficult to communicate. I've personally had weddings where I've had roles on the day, and as much as you are a martyr and you're a bridesmaid or you really want to help deliver their wedding for them and take on some of these roles, it's really hard to relax and enjoy the day because you know that you've got all of these jobs to do. Why put it on someone that you just want to be there and be present with you on your day? Let them enjoy it with you. A catering manager is not a wedding coordinator. They are responsible for delivering the catering and the service of the catering. They are not responsible for anything else. And actually, if you overload them with too many other things, it may distract them from the main event, which is the food, which you have spent a huge amount of money on. So it's best to let them just focus on their role. Then there's a venue manager, often seen as a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator. Again, that is not their role. They are not impartial. They are there to look after the venue and make sure that suppliers don't damage it, that you and your guests do everything as you should. They're there to enforce rules. Now, they may take on some of the other roles as well. They may move some things around like candles. They're often super, super helpful. But ultimately, it's not their responsibility to make sure that your wedding is delivered. You'll actually see if you look in any of those other contracts, no one there is accountable for producing your wedding and making those other elements happen apart from the specific role that they have for you. So I think you can see I'm pretty passionate about needing a coordinator for your wedding day. So let's look at what a coordinator should have as part of their role. It won't surprise you to know that I think that a coordinator's role should be super, super clear in exactly what their responsibilities are. Because to be really honest, it's really quite hard to coordinate a wedding when you haven't been part of the planning fully. To come on board, understand it, turn up and deliver it, it's quite an intense role. And it needs to be really clear exactly what they're due to do and what they're not. And it's their responsibility to make sure that that's clear within the contract. At the point of quoting for your wedding, they should really understand the full scope of your wedding. So that's how many days it's going to be, where it's going to be, what types of suppliers are involved, the timings, what their responsibilities are. So what you expect them to do in terms of their role. Now, this isn't something that you can necessarily dictate either. So you may have requests of things that you expect them to deliver, but equally, they're going to have things that they want to deliver as part of their role. So personally, in my team at Whisker and White, we have a management role for the day of the wedding. This is rarely actually the day of the wedding. It's usually the 3 days of events. And we have a very clear service here, which I'll talk about more in a minute, but we insist on having certain things that need to happen in the lead up to the wedding, because we need to know exactly what is going on with that wedding. If we haven't done our role properly and don't know those things, then we are not going to be able to do the role on the day properly. So as I say, you may have things that you want from a coordinator, but they may have things that are non-negotiable within their role they deliver for you. I believe that their role should start well before the wedding day. They should have a connection with your suppliers. They may have even briefed your suppliers for you. They should have set up some sort of documents of their own as a way to manage the wedding. So they may have their own timeline. They may have their own guide through the wedding for you. It's likely that they'll repurpose a lot of the things that you have to be able to take the wedding themselves. They should know you. They should have built up some sort of relationship with you so that they're able to decision make on your behalf. If they don't know your personalities, if they don't know your priorities, they won't be able to make good decisions for you on the wedding day. And that is a fundamental thing that will happen. At some point, they will need to make a decision. Instead of bothering you and interrupting your day, they will need to decide something that impacts your day. They're going to need to be really good at problem solving and firefighting. That is literally the most important talent of a wedding planner. And this comes with experience, so it's not something that you can just do, you can just turn up and do. So when you've spoken to a coordinator and you've communicated what you want and they've kind of communicated how their role works, if you think it's right for you, then you should get a proposal back from them with their level of service, and you're checking that it includes everything that you think it should. So a bit more info here on the service that we offer in my team. So we only work on weddings where we're handed them 3 months before the wedding. So our day management role truly isn't a day management role. It starts 3 months before, and that's because the couple need plenty of time to hand over their wedding to us. And then from that 3 months out, we actually create all our own documents for the wedding, which we are used to using as a team, and they work functionally for us. We then brief all of the suppliers relating to the wedding. This is a really important step because not only does it build the relationship and they know who is accountable and responsible on the day, who to go to, it also means that the coordinator or the planner has truly become responsible. We are included in all of the comms. We know exactly what's going on because those last 3 months, there's a lot of details and a lot of pieces of information flying around. And it's really important that we have all of that information very clear to be able to lead your day. So in summary, we can only be responsible for the wedding day itself, I believe, if we have been in charge of briefing all of the suppliers, because then on the day we know that the information that they have and any problems that arise will have been driven by the information that we have given them. It happens quite a lot that on a wedding day, it's quite intense as an environment. A supplier might say, oh, I said this or I said this. If we just turned up on the day, we would not have a clue who said what and what was going on. If we've briefed the wedding, we know exactly what's been said, we know exactly what people have been briefed, and we know where the problems are so that we can fix them much more easily. It's also intentionally 3 months out because I know that those last 3 months of wedding planning for a couple can get very busy in other ways. Things like dress fitting, packing, sourcing the last bits and pieces that you need, guest management. You're busy doing that. You don't need to be doing the literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of email communication with your suppliers that you're briefing. Just to play devil's advocate, I do think that you could have a role where someone turns up on the wedding day and you could pay them a few €100, but I think the role that you expect them to do would be massively, massively different. So they'd be there perhaps to try and attempt to oversee what's happening. Maybe you've supplied them with the timeline, maybe you've supplied them with the guide of the day, and they're able to kind of make sure that things are happening as they should, but they probably will have little influence on being able to change things if they are not as they should. And they will definitely not be able to kind of spot everything perfectly. They really, I think the maximum you can really expect is that they kind of put out some of the decorations and things like that. They are not there to fully produce and deliver your day. So remember, like any service or supplier, you are going to get what you pay for. So if you want a professional, if you want a fully produced wedding day where everything is delivered as it should be and someone is fully accountable for that, then you're going to be paying more and you're going to have a longer relationship. If you want someone to have a few little jobs on the day and be there to make sure that some of the things go to plan but not hold any of your suppliers to account, then you might be able to do that on a much kind of lower budget. But remember that the type of person that you employ and the type of service that you get will definitely directly impact how your day turns out. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed this episode. As always, upfront with the most honest advice that I can give you. If you'd like to see more of our videos or help me reach more couples that are planning their Italian weddings, please like, comment, or subscribe. That would be amazing. I'll see you next time.